Good morning students and welcome back. Today we will learn political science, lesson number 2, the electoral process. In this chapter we will study how elections are carried out in India and what are the different functions of election commission. So let us begin with the chapter, the electoral process. Elections have played a major role in the working of India's democracy. Elections and representatives are two important processes in a democracy. Democracy means rule by the people. That means people elect their leader or ruler and gives power to ruler to rule in a country. So election is giving choice to the people to elect their representative. Now, what do you mean by representative or representation? Representative means one who represent us. In a democracy, it is not possible to involve the entire population in decision-making process. In our country, there are more than 130 crore people. We cannot involve all of them in the decision-making process. So, the practice of electing the leader on behalf of the entire population who will take decision and run the government is called representation. Now, the question is, who will conduct the election? So, we have an independent body called the Election Commission of India, and it will conduct the election throughout the country at national level. For example, Lok Sabha election will be conducted by the Election Commission of India. Similarly, at state level, we have State Election Commission. Election Commission is an autonomous body. Autonomous means independent. That means it is not answerable to anyone. It will take decision on itself. It will not get influenced by anybody also. It is unbiased and impartial and not getting influenced by any minister or political organization. Even at the state level, the State Election Commission is the main body or institution which has the whole and sole right to conduct election in the state. The entire process of election, from declaring the date of election to the declaration of result, is all carried out under the direction and control of Election Commission. Now, let us learn more about the Election Commission. The Article 324 of the Indian Constitution has established this autonomous body. That means, in the Constitution, it is specified how to conduct election in our country. So, the Election Commission works as per the guideline given in the Constitution. Now the question is, who will look after the Election Commission? Election Commission has one head called Chief Election Commissioner and two other commissioners assisting the Chief Election Commissioner. All these commissioners are appointed by the President of India. The Election Commission does not have a separate staff, but teachers and government officers and other employees who are working in municipal offices help the Election Commission to execute the process of election. Now let us see, do you know? Sukumar Sen was the first Chief Election Commissioner of India. After independence, the first Election Commission was established in 1950, and Mr. Sukumar Sen had efficiently handled the responsibility of the Election Commission. Now remember this. Shyam Sharan Negi from Himachal Pradesh was the first voter of an independent India. When first election was held after independence, Shyam Sharan Negi was the first citizen to give vote on 25th October 1951 in Lok Sabha election. Now let's learn the functions of the Election Commission. The first one is preparing the voters list. Every Indian citizen who has completed 18 years of age has a right to vote. But till your name is not listed in voters list, you will not be able to give vote though you have completed 18 years. So the first thing is your name should be registered in voters list. Every time during election, voters list is updated by Election Commission. It includes the names of new voters or delete the names of migrated and dead voters' name. That means if the person has moved from Bhiwandi to Mumbai, then that person's name will be removed from Bhiwandi's voters list. Similarly, if any person has migrated to Bhiwandi, then that person's name will be added in voters list. Second function is decide the timetable and the program of election. The Election Commission decides when to conduct election and in how many stages to hold the election in every state. For example, India is a big country and it is not possible for Election Commission to hold election all over India at same time. So, Election Commission decides in which state and when to conduct election. And this way, all over India, election is conducted in different states on a specified date declared by the Election Commission. The third function is scrutiny of the application of candidate. Scrutiny means investigation or checking the form of the candidate. As soon as the election date is declared, then all political parties make their people to stand in election or give tickets to the candidate of their party. But some people without any political background can also stand in election independently. So it is not necessary that they should have a political party support to be the candidate. Now all those candidates who want to stand in election has to fill application and submit it to the Election Commission. Then Election Commission checks all information filled up by the candidate is true or not, and the person is eligible to stand in election or not, and then gives ticket to the eligible person to contest the election. Fourth function is give recognition to political parties. We have a multi-party system in our country. Multi-party means we have many political parties in India. New parties keep forming in India. Some parties split and form new parties. For example, Sharad Pawar was a member of Indian National Congress, but he split from Indian National Congress and established his new political party, that is Nationalist Congress Party. If any person forms new party, then he has to get its party registered to the Election Commission, and Election Commission give recognition, that is identification, that BJP, Congress is a national party and Shiv Sena is a regional party. Even Election Commission has a right to de-recognize any political party. If any political party is not working honestly, doing corruption, then Election Commission will withdraw the name of political party and will declare this party no more exists. The Election Commission also allots election symbols to the political parties. Fifth function is to resolve any disputes relating to elections. If any political party is found giving money to voters to get vote, or does any fraud, then Election Commission will cancel the nomination of that candidate or will declare disqualified. Even after election over, results are declared and Election Commission gets proof that the candidate has done fraud and won the election, then Election Commission will disqualify the political party and conduct re-election in a particular constituencies only. So all such situation is handled by the Election Commission. Now let's see, why is it required? Let's read the first question. When candidates have only the condition of age as eligibility, why should they give other information to Election Commission? Do you think only age is necessary to become the candidate? No. Along with the age, there are many more informations required to be eligible candidate, such as education details are necessary, if any criminal charges against the candidate, and property details has to be mentioned. This all information will help Election Commission to choose the good candidate. Now let's read the second question. Why are the candidates required to give the information of their property to the Election Commission? When the candidate fills forms, he has to give property details because Election Commission note down his property details, from which sources he has made those property. Suppose his property was 100 crores and then after election won, after 5 years again that candidate will stand for election. Then he has to again give property details. That time, if his property details shows of 1000 crores, then there may be chances that candidate must have done wealth by corruption practices. It is not necessary that candidate must have done corruption only, but Election Commission does its scrutiny and gives candidate permission to stand in election if property is not done by any corruption. Now let's see, why is it so? Let's read the first point. Some constituencies are kept reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Now reservation is given because to give equal opportunities and respect to them in society. There should be a representation of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in a parliament to discuss their problem. So some constituencies are reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Now let's read second point. Every political party has an election symbol. After independence, the literacy rate was very low in India. It was not possible for all the voters to read the name of the candidate and vote. So symbols help the voters to identify and decide to whom they have to vote. Now let's read the third point. At the time of voting and counting of votes, the official representatives of political parties remain present. Because on the day of voting and counting, there may be bogus voting or any fraud. So to see voting and counting is done honestly, political parties send their representatives to keep watch. Now let's see the last point. Recognized parties have equal opportunity to present their side before media such as television and radio. Yes, all political parties get fair chance to do campaigning. Television and radio help political parties to express their ideas and agenda of the party to reach people in large number. Therefore, all the recognized parties can express their opinion through television and radio. Now let's learn process of election. First one is establishment of constituencies. Constituency means an area where group of voters elect a representative. In India, there are total 543 constituencies in Lok Sabha. Among them, our Bhiwandi is also one of the Lok Sabha constituency. Constituency is divided on the basis of population. For example, Mumbai is divided into 4 constituencies. Next process is finalizing the voters list. That means voters list is updated, which we have already learned in the functions of Election Commission. Next process is nomination of candidate and scrutiny of their nomination forms. Candidate details is verified and then Election Commission gives permission to eligible candidate to stand in election. Next process is election campaign. After election date is declared, then political parties does election campaigning. Next is actual voting. Actual voting means on the election day, voters go and gives vote in polling booth. Next process is counting of votes. After election over, votes are counted on a specified date given by the Election Commission. Next process is results of election. After the votes are counted, results will be declared. Which political party got how much votes and which party won the election will be announced. And the last process is resolution of disputes regarding elections. Even after results declare, if any political party raise the issue of fraudness, then Election Commission will find out whether fraud was done. And if found election was not done properly, then Election Commission will cancel the election of that particular constituency and will disqualify the candidate. And then re-election will take place of that particular constituency only. So these are the important process of election. Now let's learn the restructuring of the constituency. We have already learned what is constituency. There are total 543 members in Lok Sabha. Every member represents one constituency. It means there are total 543 constituencies of Lok Sabha. Creating constituencies is the responsibility of the Delimitation Commission of the Election Commission. Delimitation Commission prepares the constituency. It divides the area as per the population and forms constituency. If area is less and population is more, then there will be more constituencies. For example, Mumbai is divided into 4 constituencies. Delimitation Commission does not succumb to any pressure. Succumb means to surrender. So delimitation election does not surrender to any pressure of political party while forming the constituencies. That means any minister, government or any political party cannot pressurize the Delimitation Commission to form constituencies in particular area. Now let us learn what is Code of Conduct. Code of Conduct means the rules that have to be followed by voters, government and political parties before election and during elections. Even government cannot interfere and violate the rules made by the Election Commission. So you must be thinking, why Election Commission has made Code of Conduct? So the reason is to conduct free and fair election. Free and fair election means citizen has freedom to choose the representative of his choice. Nobody will pressurize or threaten him or her to vote. It controls malpractices during election. For example, candidate gives money to voters to vote them or does any corruption. So code of conduct controls or stops such malpractices during election. Due to the strict observance of code of conduct, in the last few elections, the common voters have become confident that elections are conducted in free and fair ways. Now let's learn challenges in conducting free and fair elections. If we take into account the size of a country and the number of voters, conducting election becomes a truly challenging task. So let us see what are the challenges faced by Election Commission during elections. The first challenge is misuse of money takes place to a great extent during elections. The Election Commission has to take several measures to stop such a misuse of money. Now let's see the second challenge. Many political parties give election to their candidates with criminal background. This results not only in criminalization of politics, but the Election Commission also faces problems in ensuring that elections are conducted in free and fair environment. Sometimes candidate of criminal background stands in election and then threaten people to vote them, thus corruption. So this creates problem even to Election Commission in conducting election in free and fair environment. Another major challenge is violence during election. The extent of violence has increased significantly during elections. All political parties should help the Election Commission to control the violence. During the time of election, lot of violence takes place between the political parties. So this is also the biggest challenge that Election Commission has to control violence during election. The fourth challenge is to retain a continuing influence on politics. Leaders give election tickets to their own relatives. This practice creates a family monopoly in politics. Many a times, political leaders give tickets to their relatives, to their brothers, son, wife, etc. So what happens in such case? The whole family dominates in political system. And even sometimes, the relative is not that capable also for the post, but stands in election because of family support. So this creates influence of family monopoly in politics. Now let's answer some questions. How political parties suffer due to family monopoly in the party? Just now I discussed the answer of this question in the fourth challenge. Second question is, what do you understand by the system of one vote, one value? One vote, one value means every citizen's vote has same value. Though President of India or Prime Minister of India gives vote, their vote value is counted 1. And even common man's vote is counted 1 only. This indicates all the people in the country have same status. Now let's learn electoral reforms. Electoral reforms means changes in election process. Electoral reforms becomes reliable if election process gets improved. So some reforms are listed. Let's see one by one. The first one is to increase participation of women in politics. The political parties should give 50% candidature to women candidates and try to ensure that they get elected. 50% seats are reserved in Maharashtra for women in Panchayat and Municipal Corporation, and 33% seats are reserved at national level. So at national level also, 50% seats should be reserved and encourage women to participate in politics. Second reform is political parties should not give candidature to candidates having criminal background. They should strictly follow the decisions given by courts in this respect. Candidature means ticket or nomination. So political parties should not nominate who is having criminal background. The third reform is the government should take care of election expenses. To ensure that parties will not make misuse of money and mismanagement of money during elections can be stopped. During elections, candidates spent money on campaigning, advertising their party, etc. So excess amount should not be spent, and also there should not be misuse of money. That means giving money or article to people to get vote. Fourth reform is Representation of the People's Act should be amended so that candidates having criminal background would not be able to participate in elections. Now, Representation of People's Act is a law, and that should be changed so that criminal background candidate should not participate and should not be elected by the people also. Now let's learn journey from ballot boxes to EVM machines. Earlier, voting was done in ballot boxes. On a blank paper, symbol of political party was stamped by the voter, and after election over, all votes were counted. Now we have EVM machines, that is electronic voting machines, which started from the decades of 1990s. There are many advantages of EVM machines. Illiterate people can give vote easily by pressing the button in front of the symbol. It saves tons of paper which was used in ballot. So it helps in conserving the environment. There is one option given on EVM, that is nota, none of the above. This option can be used by a voter if he or she does not want to vote any candidate. Next is it makes counting faster, which enables the election officer to declare result in a short time. And it is also helpful for the disabled people, that is Divyang people, to cast their vote. Now let's learn the types of election. The first one is general election. Lok Sabha elections held after every 5 years are called general election. Second is midterm election. Midterm election means elections will be held before the 5 years term is complete. Now let's see on what situation midterm election takes place. If the political party does not get the majority seats, then they form government with the help of other parties. That is called coalition government, or government formed by many parties together called coalition government. For example, there are 543 seats and one who gets majority seats is 272 or more than 272 seats. So if any party fails to get majority seats, then that party cannot form government. So to make government, political parties come in support of one another and forms coalition government. After coalition government formed, If any political party withdraw their support, then due to no majority seats, elections will be held before the completion of the term. So they are called mid-term elections. Third one is by-election. If an elected representative resigns or he or she dies, then that seat becomes vacant. So to occupy the vacant place of that resigned or dead representative, elections are held in that particular constituency only. This is called by-election. Students, here we finished learning of the lesson, the electoral process. We have learned the functions of election commission, the process of election, and the types of election. So go through the lesson once more. Goodbye. Take care.